Hi everyone! Welcome to Nick's Story Time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Wishing you the money comes rolling in 2026. Alright, let's dive into today's story.
The Yellow Immortal's Petition. Chapter 1. The Yellow Immortal's Petition at midnight. The entire office building fell completely silent, with only the sales department's light glowing alone. Li Ning, a new salesperson, rubbed his sore eyes after several consecutive all-nighters. The empty office was bone-chillingly cold, and the deathly stillness carried an inexplicable eeriness.
He didn't dare stay longer, quickly packed his belongings and hurried toward the elevator. The elevator ran unsteadily in the dead of night, the metal car making constant creaking noises. In the enclosed space of late autumn, piercing cold winds blew out of nowhere. After exiting the building, Li Ning stepped into the deep alley he had to pass through to get home. Exhaustion from overtime work overwhelmed him, and in a daze, he heard light footsteps following closely behind him. Never too far, never too close, impossible to shake off. Dark clouds covered the full moon, and the alley plunged into instant darkness. The short 100-meter journey, which usually took 10 minutes, now took him half an hour to trudge through.
Old legends from his elders suddenly flooded his mind. This was a classic ghost wall. In a panic, Li Ning shouted curses to break the evil spell, trying to dispel the strange yin energy around him. A cold, eerie female laugh suddenly cut through the silence, and cold sweat instantly soaked Li Ning's back. He turned stiffly, but there was no one behind him.
He forced himself to calm down, telling himself it was just a hallucination from being overworked and exhausted. But the moment he turned his head, a pale, bloodless face pressed right up against his eyes. The woman in red had disheveled hair, not a trace of color on her face, and only the whites of her eyes showing.
Blood suddenly oozed from all her facial features, and her bony arms reached straight for Li Ning's neck. Terrified out of his wits, Li Ning screamed and turned to run wildly, but the red-clad female ghost clung to him like a malignant tumor. No matter how hard he ran, always right beside him, impossible to escape.
Li Ning, a staunch materialist, completely broke down at this moment, praying frantically to the gods for salvation. Just as he was about to be consumed by fear, his colleague Chen Qijin, who had gone downstairs to get a late-night snack, happened to see him running in circles in the alley, screaming for help. Chen Qijin saw at a glance that he had run into a ghost wall.
No matter how much he shouted, it was useless. He quickly stepped forward and shook the dazed Li Ning vigorously. The violent shaking finally brought Li Ning back to his senses. Seeing who it was, he instantly collapsed, hugged Chen Qijin tightly, and cried bitterly, recounting his terrifying encounter with the red-clad female ghost.
Still shaken, Li Ning dared not go home alone and insisted on staying with Chen Qijin for the night. As they ate their late-night snack, Li Ning repeatedly told his harrowing story. Chen Qijin had grown up in a mountain village and heard countless supernatural legends. He knew that red-clad vengeful spirits had extremely heavy resentment and were definitely not to be trifled with.
He was already certain that Li Ning had been possessed by evil. After comforting Li Ning to sleep, Chen Qijin had just closed his eyes when he noticed Li Ning sitting straight up beside him, opening the door and going downstairs without any consciousness. He knew that sleepwalkers must not be suddenly awakened, as it could cause permanent brain damage.
So he put on his clothes and quietly followed. After following for 3 kilometers, the two finally stopped at a deserted suburban garbage dump. The empty land howled with cold wind in the middle of the night, so cold that even the brave Chen Qijin couldn't help shivering. Just as he was thinking about how to safely bring Li Ning back, the young man beside him suddenly froze.
A sharp, hoarse voice suddenly rang out. "Young man, do I look like a human or like a god?" Chen fixed his eyes and saw a half-human tall yellow weasel standing in the center of the garbage dump, its eyes glowing with a faint green light, staring fixedly at Li Ning. It was the Yellow Immortal's petition for immortality. Li Ning trembled all over, his teeth chattering.
The folk legend he had scoffed at in the past had now become a life-or-death situation. The yellow weasel pressed forward step by step, repeating the question over and over, its resentment growing stronger. A life-and-death game had begun. Chapter 2. Returning to the village. Li Ning froze in place, his mind completely blank.
He clearly knew the taboo of the Yellow Immortal's petition. If you answered like a human, the Yellow Immortal's 100 years of cultivation would be wasted, and it would take crazy revenge. If you answered like a god, the Yellow Immortal would attain enlightenment and become powerful, and would entangle you for life to repay kindness and demand debts.
Either way, it was a death sentence. In a panic, he stammered for a long time, only squeezing out, "I don't know," then turned and ran wildly for his life. In the moonlight, a flash of contempt crossed the yellow weasel's eyes, instantly replaced by overwhelming ferocity. 60 years of obsession and resentment were all concentrated in those green eyes.
The two quietly returned home, and Li Ning curled up on the sofa, cold all over, still shaken as he recounted the disaster of the Yellow Immortal's failed petition. Fear had completely shattered his atheistic beliefs. Chen's expression was grave. He had grown up listening to the elders in the village tell stories about the 5 immortals of northeast China,
and knew that the Yellow Immortal was the most vengeful of them all. A failed petition would never be let go. Li Ning was alone here with no relatives, and the only person he could rely on was Chen Qijin. The only way out now was to go back to Chen Qijin's hometown, Piaoyu village, and ask a Taoist master to resolve the karma. Chen Qijin told Li Ning that there was a respected Mr. Spote.
You in the village who specialized in all kinds of supernatural and evil matters, as well as an acquaintance, Third Master Li, who had dealt with mountain spirits and monsters all his life and had extremely rich experience. Upon hearing this, Li Ning grabbed onto this lifeline and immediately decided to take the next day off to follow Chen Qijin back to the village for help.
Not daring to wait a moment longer. At 5 o'clock the next morning, Li Ning, who hadn't slept all night, got up early to cook, anxiously urging Chen Qijin to leave. The two hurriedly ate breakfast and took the earliest bus straight to the remote Piaoyu village. The mountain village had beautiful scenery, isolated from the world.
Far from the hustle and bustle and yin energy of the city, yet hiding the opportunity to resolve evil spirits. Just as they entered the village entrance, Chen Qijin ran into his childhood playmate Yaya. The little girl was home on vacation and enthusiastically led the two to the Chen family's old house.
The grandparents, who hadn't seen their grandson in a long time, were both surprised and delighted. Chen Qijin didn't have time for pleasantries, and immediately told his grandfather everything about Li Ning's strange encounters with the female ghost and the Yellow Immortal's petition overnight. The old man had rich life experience, and his face instantly turned solemn after hearing it.
He said bluntly that the red-clad female ghost had deep resentment, and definitely wasn't haunting people by chance, and that the Yellow Immortal's failed petition was a blood feud, not a trivial matter. They must immediately ask Mr. Yu to come out of retirement to resolve it. With that, the old man immediately took out his phone and contacted Third Master Li,
asking him to specially invite the Taoist master Mr. Yu from West Huangni. Upon hearing that Chen Qijin had returned home, Third Master Li,
who had been good friends with the Chen family for many years, also offered to come and help. In just half a day, the two masters set off for Piaoyu village.
A supernatural storm related to Li Ning's life and death, and involving 60 years of grievances, was about to fully erupt in this peaceful mountain village. Chapter 3. The origin of the disaster. In the afternoon, Third Master Li and Mr. Yu arrived at the Chen house as promised. Mr. Yu had a gentle, scholarly demeanor, seemingly warm and peaceful, but his eyes were as sharp as knives.
The moment he entered the door, he locked onto Li Ning and said in a deep voice, "You've gotten yourself into big trouble." Li Ning's legs went weak, and he collapsed directly onto the kang, begging Mr. Yu desperately to save his life. The atmosphere in the room instantly became heavy. Mr. Yu lit a cigarette and paused thoughtfully.
His aura suddenly turned icy as if the room temperature had plummeted several degrees in an instant. He didn't ask any unnecessary questions and went straight to the point. "Your ancestral home is Heishi." Li Ning's pupils suddenly constricted, his face full of disbelief. No one knew about this, yet the man in front of him had seen through it at a glance.
Mr. Yu explained lightly that it was the Yellow Immortal haunting him who had told him. As soon as the words fell, a wisp of yellow phantom appeared in the room. It was the same Yellow Immortal that had failed the petition. The two confronted each other in a spirit tongue that no one else could understand. The negotiation became increasingly tense, and Mr.
Yu's expression grew colder. He suddenly slammed the table angrily, and the solid wooden table shattered on impact. The Yellow Immortal also completely tore off its mask, no longer holding back, staring at Li Ning with venomous eyes before turning into a wisp of yellow smoke and dissipating. The negotiation had completely broken down, and the life and death conflict had no room for reconciliation.
When the aura calmed down, Mr. Yu revealed the hidden 60-year-old grievance. This Yellow Immortal had achieved great cultivation 60 years ago, and was supposed to petition for enlightenment and become an immortal on time. Unfortunately, its cultivation was sealed during the petition hour, making it no different from an ordinary beast.
At that time, Li Ning's grandfather passed by drunk, not only insulting it viciously, but also seriously injuring it with a wine bottle. A sudden disaster had caused the Yellow Immortal's 60 years of hard cultivation to go to waste. It had endured for 60 years to recultivate its skills and returned for revenge, only to find that Li Ning's grandfather had long passed away.
And his father had also died accidentally. The blood feud had finally fallen on the descendant Li Ning, a classic case of ancestral karma coming home to roost. Learning the truth, Li Ning was completely bewildered, never imagining that a moment of recklessness by his ancestors would leave him with a fatal karma. Mr. Peer,
You admitted frankly that the Yellow Immortal was the most vengeful of the 5 immortals, and this grievance would not end until one side was dead. Even with the intervention of a master, it would be difficult to completely resolve it. Before he finished speaking, dense, rustling sounds came from outside the courtyard.
Everyone looked through the window lattice and instantly felt their scalps tingled as dozens of weasels were standing upright, densely covering the entire courtyard, their green eyes all looking toward the house, their murderous aura overwhelming. At the critical moment, a white dragon shadow suddenly broke through the air,
sweeping across the entire courtyard, instantly dispersing the weasel pack and forcing them all to flee to the back mountain. Only Chen Qijin could clearly see the dragon's true form. Seeing this, a thoughtful look flashed in Mr. Yu's eyes. hidden surprise. No one knew that Chen Qijin was born with immortal bones and had been able to see the true forms of immortals since childhood.
This was his greatest opportunity to break the situation. Chapter 4. Dragon versus Yellow Immortal. Mr. Yu finally noticed something unusual and asked in surprise why Chen Qijin could see Lord Dragon's true form. Chen Qijin admitted frankly that he had seen Lord Dragon appear when he was a child, and this was not the first time he had seen an immortal's face.
Upon hearing this, Mr. Yu looked thoughtful, already figuring out Chen Qijin's special constitution. The white dragon shadow circled the room and spoke in human language, cursing the Yellow Immortal clan for being difficult and persistent. Only Chen Qijin could hear Lord Dragon's words. Li Ning and Third Master Li could only feel the restless aura in the room, but didn't understand the reason.
Third Master Li was worried that Lord Dragon had a fiery temper and preferred force, so he proposed sending a civil immortal who was good at mediation to negotiate to avoid a deadly fight. This immediately drew dissatisfaction from Lord Dragon, who said bluntly that the Huang family had a tough attitude and deep grievances this time, and civil immortals would only be sent to their deaths in vain.
Only a forceful confrontation could resolve the dispute. Immortals were divided into civil and martial paths. Civil immortals were good at negotiating and resolving karma, while martial immortals suppressed evil spirits with strength. Lord Dragon was a top martial immortal, with a resolute and decisive nature. As dusk fell, the mountain village suddenly became restless.
The chickens in the courtyard flew around in panic, making a huge commotion. Third Master Li instantly became alert. The Yellow Immortal army was attacking again. As a hunter for generations, his bow and arrows carried blood energy that suppressed mountain spirits and monsters. He immediately took his bow and went out to investigate.
But the sounds of fighting and shattering outside the door rose and fell, and murderous aura overflowed everywhere. The Yellow Immortal clan came fiercely. Debris in the courtyard flew everywhere, and the ground was covered with poultry corpses. The scene was tragic. Third Master Li was instantly surrounded, and his cry for help rang out. Mr.
Yu rushed out of the room immediately, holding the Qingwu whip. This whip was made of 1,000-year-old thunderstruck wood and was the bane of all mountain evil spirits. The Yellow Immortals retreated step by step when they got close, full of fear. The leading Yellow Immortal appeared and questioned angrily, accusing Mr. Trev.
You of favoring the Li descendants and interfering in their family's grievance. Lord Dragon appeared to confront him, trying to persuade the Yellow Immortal to let go of his obsession and join his own hall to get a stable cultivation home. But the Yellow Immortal completely refused to listen and publicly exposed Lord Dragon's shortcomings, narrow-minded and most vengeful, hitting every sore spot.
Enraged by being publicly exposed, Lord Dragon instantly transformed into human form, wearing a long robe with an imposing aura and overwhelming killing intent. The leading Yellow Immortal, named Huang Tianxi, had 100 years of cultivation and profound skills. Seeing that the negotiation had broken down, he immediately raised his hand to summon reinforcements.
In an instant, hundreds of weasels poured in from all directions, surrounding Lord Dragon and Mr. Yu layer upon layer. Huang Tianxi arrogantly declared that he would use the power of his clan to fight Meng Tianlong to the death. The situation completely spiraled out of control. Mr. Yu immediately chanted divine tunes to summon the Xingyi Civil One New One.
Immortal and the yellow-clad female immortal Huang Kuizui from his hall to help. 4 immortals fought side by side, fiercely battling hundreds of yellow immortals.
the mountain's spiritual energy violently fluctuated, and the shock waves from the collision of immortal arts swept through the entire courtyard. A shocking dragon-yellow battle had fully begun.
Chapter 5. Huang Tianqi. The battle in the courtyard was deadlocked. Third Master Li explained to Chen Qijin the mysteries of the King Wen drum and King Wu whip. These were the town treasures of the Chuma disciples, specifically used to subdue all kinds of monsters and evil spirits. But even with the support of these treasures, the Huang family army was numerous and fearless of death, and the 4 immortals gradually fell into a disadvantage, the situation becoming increasingly dangerous. In the heat of the fierce battle, Lord Dragon completely lost his temper and soared into the sky, his true giant dragon phantom appearing.
In an instant, dark clouds covered the sun. The sky and earth changed color, and thunder rolled down, its power shaking the mountains. Huang Tianqi was not to be outdone, his figure suddenly swelling as he raised his hand to meet the dragon's thunderbolt head-on. Just as the thunderbolt was about to land and both sides would suffer heavy losses, party cheek!
Chen Qijin rushed out of the room uncontrollably, shouting loudly for Lord Dragon to spare him. Lord Dragon suddenly reined in his offensive, diving down to block the thunderbolt, barely protecting the rashly appearing Chen Qijin. The entire scene fell silent, and everyone was stunned.
Chen Qijin himself was also full of confusion. His body had been completely out of his brain's control just now, as if pulled by some invisible force. Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi both landed, looking at Chen Qijin with complex and surprised eyes. Third Master Li took the opportunity to mediate, strongly urging both sides to cease fire and negotiate.
Huang Tianqi snorted coldly, suppressing his overwhelming killing intent and acquiescing to the negotiation. Everyone returned to the house to confront each other, and the tense battle finally temporarily subsided. Looking at the trembling Li Ning, Huang Tianqi finally revealed the real reason for his entanglement this time.
The 60-year grievance was only part of it. He had come thousands of miles for another hidden reason. Back then, after he had cultivated his skills and gone down the mountain, he had been hit by a car driven by Li Ning while crossing the road. His physical body destroyed and his spiritual power severely damaged.
In his time of crisis, a kind girl had picked up his broken body and carefully buried it in a flower bed, preserving his primordial spirit foundation. Huang Tianqi had kept this life-saving kindness firmly in mind and had originally planned to repay it after achieving enlightenment. But that kind girl had already jumped to her death in injustice.
The girl's name was Liu Jiajiao, a colleague of Chen Qijin and Li Ning. Lively, kind, and warm-hearted, recognized as a good girl by the entire company. On the day Liu Jiajiao died, she wore a red dress and jumped from the 13th floor of the company building. The police finally concluded it was suicide, but there were many suspicious points that no one had investigated deeply.
Huang Tianqi said bluntly that the Tianmei Physical Examination Building was sealed with black magic, and his cultivation could not penetrate it. Liu Jiajiao's soul was also imprisoned in the alley behind the company, unable to reincarnate. After Li Ning joined the company, he happened to sit at Liu Jiajiao's former desk, becoming entangled with yin energy and his constitution becoming weak.
That was why he had successively encountered the red-clad vengeful spirit and run into the ghost wall. Huang Tianqi's original intention was to possess Li Ning, using a human body to enter the building, investigate the truth of Liu Jiajiao's unjust death, and avenge his benefactor. Looking at the timid and useless Li Ning, Huang Tianqi's face was full of disgust.
and he immediately gave up the idea of possessing him. Everyone's eyes turned in unison to Chen Qijin, who had a special constitution and was born with immortal bones. A brand new choice was placed before Chen Qijin. Chapter 6. Let me become a Chuma disciple. Everyone in the room tacitly focused their gazes on Chen Qijin. Mr. Tri.
Yu was the first to speak, saying bluntly that Chen Qijin had a rare immortal bone and deep immortal fate, making him a natural Chuma disciple, spirit medium who channels immortals. He asked if Chen Qijin was willing to establish a hall and take on the immortal fate to resolve grievances and investigate the truth.
Chen Qijin's heart was mixed with emotions, both nervous resistance and inexplicable expectation. He knew that Chuma disciples were said to suffer from the 5 misfortunes and 3 shortcomings. Prying too much into heaven's secrets would harm their own and their family's fortunes. But looking at the unjustly dead Liu Jiaojiao and the obsessed Wang Tianqi, he couldn't bring himself to ignore it.
His grandfather was full of concerns but did not forcibly stop him, leaving the choice entirely to his grandson. Seeing this, Lord Dragon spoke to comfort him, saying that times had changed and ancient taboos had long faded. With Chen Qijin's deep immortal fate, becoming a Chuma disciple was his destiny, and there was no need to worry too much.
These words completely dispelled Chen Qijin's concerns, and he immediately nodded in agreement, formally promising to become a Chuma disciple. Everyone was overjoyed, except for Li Ning, who weakly interjected that he also wanted to follow suit and become a Chuma disciple, only to be completely ignored by everyone. The scene was particularly awkward.
After finalizing the matter, Mr. Yu immediately began preparing for the initiation ceremony, instructing the Chen family to prepare offerings, set up the immortal list, open the horse reins, and connect the 5 senses to start Chen Qijin's cultivation path. After burning incense to pray for blessings and setting up the list to settle the hall, Mr.
Yu used talismans and red cloth as guides to help Chen Qijin open his immortal orifices of eyes, ears, mouth, nose, and body, enabling him to understand the spirit tongue of immortals, see yin and yang evil spirits, and communicate with spiritual beings of heaven and earth. After the ceremony ended, Huang Tianqi took the opportunity to enter the hall, becoming Chen Qijin's first seated immortal.
Mr. Yu carefully taught the rules of Chuma practice, how to invite immortals to possess the body, and how to investigate matters and break evil spells, instructing Huang Tianqi to give more guidance to the new disciple in the future. Overnight, the ordinary office worker Chen Qijin had completely transformed.
Officially embarking on the path of establishing a hall and helping the world by investigating matters. After the ceremony, Chen Qijin immediately asked about the method to investigate Liu Jiaojiao's unjust case. Huang Tianqi admitted frankly that to find out the truth, they must find a personal item that Liu Jiaojiao had used before her death.
Using this as a medium, they could draw out her soul and investigate the hidden past. But at this critical moment, Li Ning admitted with chagrin that after he joined the company and cleaned his desk, he had thrown away all of Liu Jiaojiao's old things, completely cutting off the clues. Huang Tianqi was so angry and helpless that he directly returned to his memorial tablet to rest and said no more.
Chen Qijin did not give up, firmly believing that everything must leave traces, and decided to return to the company the next day to search for relic clues with all his might. Early the next morning, the two took a fellow villager's car back to the city.
Stepping into the familiar office building again, Chen Qingjin's state of mind was completely different.
The workplace where he had once struggled now hid evil spirits and filth. Beneath the gorgeous building lay an unknown, unjust case. On the way back, Li Ning was full of restlessness and even whimsically planned to resign and become Chen Qijin's exclusive assistant, completely giving up and lying flat.
Chen Qijin couldn't help laughing and crying, knowing that Chuma practice was about helping the world and resolving karma, not a shortcut to making money, and did not agree. The two gathered their emotions and attended the company morning meeting on time, waiting for an opportunity to find clues.
Chapter 7. The Evil Immortal. The company morning meeting proceeded as scheduled, with leaders taking turns to go on stage to paint pie and preach long and tedious. Chen Qijin accidentally looked at their group director, Du Shushu, and a strong sense of incongruity suddenly rose in his heart.
The middle-aged woman who had seemed ordinary in the past had evasive eyes and a shifty look today, with a faint, cold, evil aura surrounding her, extremely strange. He tried to communicate with Wang Tianxi in his hall with his mind to investigate Du Shushu's abnormality, but Wang Tianxi remained completely silent and unresponsive.
After the morning meeting ended, the two rushed to their desks immediately, searching every corner, but still couldn't find any of Liu Jiaojiao's relics. Li Ning was full of chagrin and blamed himself endlessly. At this moment, Chen Qijin learned a shocking secret. The driver who had hit Wang Tianqi back then was none other than Li Ning.
It was precisely because of this accident that Huang Tianqi was seriously injured and recuperated, missing the best opportunity to protect Liu Jiaojiao, and making his own obsession with repaying kindness and path of revenge even more bumpy. With no results from the desk search, Chen Qijin immediately decided to go to the alley behind the company,
The place where Liu Jiaojiao had jumped to her death and where her soul had been trapped for years. The two sneaked out of the company under the pretext of going out to run business and stepped into the deep alley where yin energy never dispersed. As soon as they entered the alley, Huang Tianqi's voice finally rang in Chen Qijin's mind, his tone full of fear and gravity.
He said bluntly that a highly skilled rat spirit evil immortal was entrenched in this office building, with cruel methods and powerful strength. Just now, during the day when yang energy was at its peak, the rat spirit was hiding, and if he had appeared, he would have been instantly detected.
Huang Tianqi admitted frankly that this rat spirit practiced evil ways, nourishing itself with yin energy and unjust souls, and had become powerful with unfathomable strength. Even if he and Lord Dragon joined forces, they might not be able to win for sure. This was the core reason why he had not dared to act rashly until now.
Learning that their opponent was so powerful, Chen Qijin's heart instantly sank. He had thought that after becoming a Chuma disciple, he could rely on the power of immortals to eliminate demons and uphold justice. He didn't expect that his first case would encounter such a formidable evil immortal, with a dangerous road ahead.
Without a relic medium in the alley, Huang Tianxi couldn't forcibly summon Liu Jiaojiao's soul. And with the abundant yang energy during the day restricting evil spirits, the investigation work completely came to a standstill. Li Ning was full of unwillingness, shouting that he would confront the rat spirit head-on, but was immediately stopped by Chen Qijin.
Who knew that the opponent's strength was terrifying and rash provocation would only lead to self-destruction. The two put the investigation on hold for the time being and went to the familiar Chengwang restaurant to eat and rest. Aunt Ma and her husband, the restaurant owners, were kind and familiar with the employees.
Especially with the kind and warm-hearted Liu Jiaojiao, whom they treated like their own granddaughter.
As soon as they entered the store, Aunt Ma saw Li Ning and lost control of her emotions, her eyes turning red, her words full of sobs. Aunt Ma admitted frankly that she had dreamed of Liu Jiaojiao every night for days.
In the dreams, the girl had repeatedly mentioned Li Ning, saying that only when this person arrived could her injustice be redressed. With that, Aunt Ma took out a pink makeup mirror. It was Liu Jiaojiao's personal item that she had used every day, and also the key clue the two had been searching for desperately. Chapter 8. Liu Jiaojiao, holding the makeup mirror handed to him by Aunt Ma, Chen Qijin's heart suddenly shook. Huang Tianqi immediately transmitted his voice, telling him that this mirror was surrounded by yin energy and deep obsession, making it an excellent medium for summoning Liu Jiaojiao's soul.
With this relic, they could break through the alley's imprisonment and bring out Liu Jiaojiao's remnant soul. Aunt Ma wiped her tears and recounted Liu Jiaojiao's past in detail. The old couple had no children, and Liu Jiaojiao treated them like her own relatives, helping with work and asking after their well-being on weekdays, never missing a festival.
Kind-hearted. She would even take care of stray cats and dogs and injured wild animals on the roadside. 2 years ago, when Huang Tianqi had been hit by a car and seriously injured, lying dead at the restaurant entrance, it was Liu Jiaojiao who had softened her heart and quietly buried his body in the soil.
This kind act had made Huang Tianqi remember it to this day, willing to spend his cultivation to find out the truth about her unjust case and seek justice for her. Aunt Ma and her husband were devastated by Liu Jiaojiao's death. After the girl died, the restaurant closed for a long time and the couple spent all day depressed and sick.
The only reason they had reopened was because Liu Jiaojiao had repeatedly told them in their dreams to wait for Li Ning's arrival to clear her name. Learning the whole story, the two were filled with sighs. Chen Qijin lit incense and invited Huang Tianqi to possess his body to communicate.
After switching to Huang Tianqi's voice, he comforted the grieving old couple, promising to find out the truth and clear Liu Jiaojiao's name. Huang Tianqi said bluntly that tonight they could use the mirror as a medium to summon Liu Jiaojiao's soul, and at the same time needed to contact Mr. Yu and Lord Dragon to help guard against the rat spirit's sneak attack.
Aunt Ma and her husband were so grateful that they were about to kneel down to thank them, but were quickly helped up by Chen Qijin and Li Ning. The two old people had long regarded Liu Jiaojiao as their own daughter, and they were the most heartbroken and most eager for justice in the world after the girl's unjust death. Chen Qijin immediately called Mr. Jinjinjim
You on video, briefly explaining all the clues and difficulties. Upon hearing that an evil immortal was harming people and an innocent mortal had been wronged, Mr. Yu said nothing and immediately set off for the city to help. The situation seemed to have taken a turn for the better, but Chen Qijin's heart was still heavy.
The rat spirit had been entrenched in the building for many years, with deep foundations, and the company's boss and vice president had huge power and extensive connections in the local area, with official business collusion and solid roots. It was by no means easy to shake, to bring down the forces behind it and reverse Liu Jiaojiao's case would be as difficult as climbing to the sky.
Li Ning tried to comfort the old people, boasting loudly about Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi's supernatural powers, saying they could easily suppress the evil spirits and punish the evildoers. His bragging so loud that Chen Qijin couldn't help laughing and crying. Aunt Ma looked at Li Ning and finally realized that he was the driver who had hit the yellow weasel 2 years ago.
The bonds of fate were now completely clear.
Li Ning's unintentional accident had caused Huang Tianqi to be seriously injured and dormant. Liu Zhoujiao's kind act of burying him had forged an immortal fate. And finally, through the cycle of karma, the three had gathered together only to overthrow the evil and redress the deep injustice.
Fate was intertwined, and there was a predetermined plan in the dark. Chapter 9. A Narrow Encounter. As the truth was uncovered layer by layer, Li Ning was full of embarrassment, apologizing and explaining repeatedly. Although Huang Tianqi was full of resentment, he also knew that it was all fate and karma, and did not pursue it too much. After going through this incident, the two became more determined that no matter how powerful the opponent was, or how strong the evil spirits were, they would do everything to seek justice for the kind Liu Zhoujiao. Aunt Ma's husband specially cooked their signature braised noodles for the two.
Just as they were burying their heads in eating, a disgusting figure pushed the door open. It was Director Du Xiuxiu. She sat down pretending to be familiar, her words hypocritical and polite, but the cold evil aura surrounding her instantly dropped the temperature in the store to freezing point. Huang Tianqi instantly hid his aura and dared not appear, his fear evident.
Du Xiuxiu seemed to be chatting casually, but in reality, her eyes were sinister, fixed firmly on the makeup mirror in Chen Qijin's arms, her eyes full of greed and malice. The next second, Chen Qijin clearly saw a huge gray rat phantom appear behind Du Xiuxiu, its blood-red bean eyes full of ferocious light. It was the rat spirit evil immortal entrenched in the building.
The rat spirit had already detected the existence of the relic, and had come this time specifically to seize the medium and completely block the truth. Du Xiuxiu pretended to have a facial discomfort and asked to borrow the mirror from the two, intending to take the relic. Chen Qijin immediately and decisively refused, and Li Ning quickly tried to smooth things over to ease the atmosphere. But Du Xiuxiu had already torn off her disguise, no longer hiding her hostility, and pressed forward step by step with the rat spirit, her aura full of oppression. The atmosphere completely stalemated. Chen Shijin didn't want to be passive, and immediately got up to pay the bill, planning to temporarily retreat and make a long-term plan.
But Du Xiuxiu refused to let them go, making sarcastic remarks to make things difficult, then completely tore off her kind mask and showed a ferocious expression. The store's rolling shutter door suddenly fell, locking the door tightly, isolating all light and sound from the outside world.
In the enclosed space, Du Xiuxiu's appearance began to change. Fine gray fur grew on her skin. Her nose and mouth became pointed, and her eyes turned into inverted, triangular blood pupils, completely revealing the strange appearance of being possessed by an evil immortal. Li Ning was so scared that he collapsed directly to the ground, terrified out of his wits.
The rat spirit controlled Du Xiuxiu, her face full of mockery, planning to play cat and mouse and slowly torture the two. In the desperate situation, Chen Qijin no longer retreated, picked up a bench and charged head-on, and while the opponent was dodging, dragged the limp Li Ning and rushed into the back kitchen.
Aunt Ma and her husband remained calm in the face of danger, immediately locking the back kitchen door and moving heavy objects to block it firmly, buying time for the two to escape. Outside the door came Du Xiuxiu's wild and piercing laughter, full of endless malice and killing intent. A life and death chase had officially begun.
Chapter 10. Run for your life. The threat outside the door was pressing closer, the piercing laughter echoing continuously, making people's scalps tingle.
Chen Chijin knew that fighting head-on was hopeless, and the best policy was to run. Just at this moment, Huang Tianqi appeared in human form beside him, speaking rapidly,
telling him that he had already removed the back kitchen window bars in advance, leaving an escape route for the two. The three quickly climbed out of the back kitchen through the window and fled to the security booth of a crowded, high-end residential area. After escaping the enclosed space, their tense nerves finally relaxed slightly.
Li Ning had survived the disaster and repeatedly sighed at their luck. But the crisis was not completely over. Du Shushu was already following closely, standing not far away with a sinister look, staring fixedly at the three. Huang Tianqi instantly hid his figure, not daring to confront her head-on.
The rat spirit had profound cultivation, and although restricted during the day and unable to use her full strength, she was still extremely intimidating. Chen Chejin's heart sank, and he immediately contacted Mr. Yu with his mind to ask about his arrival progress. But the other party was still on the way. Distant water couldn't put out a nearby fire.
To buy time and wait for an opportunity to strike, Du Shushu deliberately suppressed her evil aura, pretending to be an ordinary person, taking out company flyers and distributing them along the street, disguising herself as an ordinary office worker, using the crowd to cover her evil aura, and approaching the security booth step by step.
Ordinary people couldn't see anything unusual. Only Chen Shijin could see the bloodthirsty killing intent in her eyes. Seeing the opponent pressing closer and about to surround them, Chen Shijin prepared for a desperate fight. At this critical moment of life and death, a familiar shout came. Mr. Yu had finally arrived in a hurry. Du Shushu, fearing Mr. Yu,
Yu's cultivation dared not confront him head-on and reluctantly turned to leave. The crisis was temporarily lifted and everyone dared not return to the dangerous company, immediately turning back to Chen Chijin's home to rest. After sitting down, Mr. Yu took the makeup mirror carrying the obsession, concentrated and investigated for a moment.
Then 2 wisps of immortal smoke, one white and one yellow, drilled into the mirror, stabilizing Liu Jiaojiao's remaining soul. During the rest, Chen Shijin couldn't help complaining that Huang Tianqi had hidden when things got tough and was extremely unreliable. As soon as the words fell, a surge of immortal power suddenly rushed into his body, forcing him to raise his hand and slap himself.
Huang Tianqi was full of anger, angrily scolding his disciple for questioning his cultivation, his petty and vengeful nature fully revealed. After the farce, Lord Dragon appeared in human form, his expression grave as he revealed a shocking secret. Liu Jiaojiao was by no means the only victim.
Before her, 2 other female employees had been persecuted by the Wang family and left their jobs in injustice. This evil had long been deeply rooted and hidden for many years. Everyone finally understood that this was by no means a simple case of monsters causing trouble, but a series of unjust cases involving human evil immortals protecting evildoers,
Official business collusion, and human life being treated like grass. Chen Chijin's heart was filled with anger, becoming more determined to tear through the layers of darkness, seek justice for all victims, and make the evildoers pay the price. Chapter 11. The Beast. Lord Dragon slowly told all the truth, uncovering the entire dark curtain of this unjust case.
Wang Junjie, the son of the owner of Tianmei Physical Examination Center, relied on his prominent family background and extensive connections to run amok in the company all year round, oppressing employees, being lecherous by nature, and having cruel methods. The two previous female employees had both been coerced by his sweet words and threats,
then cruelly abandoned and maliciously suppressed, and had no choice but to resign and endure in silence. Until the upright and strong-willed Liu Zhaozhao joined the company, completely breaking the normal state of Wang Junzhe's evil deeds. Wang Junzhe had evil thoughts about the beautiful and gentle Liu Zhaozhao, flattering her in every way and promising high salaries and senior positions, but all were flatly rejected by Liu Zhaozhao. When his inducements failed, he resorted to continuous intimidation and pressure, but Liu Zhaozhao always stuck to her bottom line and refused to compromise. Director Du Shishio was ambitious and sycophantic.
After seeing through Wang Junzhe's thoughts, she actively curried favor with him, promising to help him get Liu Zhaozhao in exchange for the director position. The two colluded and joined forces to target the powerless Liu Zhaozhao. To force Liu Zhaozhao to submit, Du Shushu secretly drugged her and destroyed her innocence.
Wang Junzhe even took private photos to blackmail and coerce her. Even in this desperate situation, Liu Zhaozhao still refused to bow her head and resolutely resigned, completely enraging the deranged Wang Junzhe. To completely control Liu Zhaozhao, Wang Junzhe resorted to any means necessary and extended his evil claws to her family.
He designed to get Liu Zhaozhao's father, a truck driver, drunk and caused a car accident resulting in his death. He also sent people to intimidate the frail Liu mother day and night, forcing the old woman to die of grief and anger. In just a few days, Liu Zhaozhao's family was destroyed, leaving her alone and helpless.
She was filled with grief and anger, but had nowhere to turn for help. When she called the police to defend her rights, the police perfunctorily suppressed it because of the Wang family's huge power and official business collusion, and all her grievances had nowhere to be told. Completely desperate, Liu Zhaozhao wrote a blood letter accusing her grievances.
Wore a red dress, and jumped from the 13th floor of the company building, turning into a vengeful ghost with overwhelming resentment, intending to take revenge. But what she never expected was that Du Shishio had long enshrined the rat spirit evil Immortal and set up a formation in advance, imprisoning her soul tightly in the alley, never to reincarnate or take revenge.
Trapped for years, watching the evildoers go unpunished and the evil run rampant, Liu Zhaozhao's resentment grew deeper and deeper. Her previous scares of Li Ning were just unconscious venting from the loneliness of the long night, and she had never intended to harm innocent people. As the truth came to an end, the yin energy in the room suddenly condensed,
And the phantom of Liu Zhaozhao, in red with long hair, slowly appeared, her posture sad and her face pale. Li Ning, who had been shouting a second ago that he was willing to be scared by her, directly threw himself into Mr. Yu's arms in fear, trembling and not daring to open his eyes. Chapter 12. Confrontation.
Seeing her old colleagues again, Liu Zhaozhao spoke gently, full of gratitude for everyone's efforts to help, but also full of concerns. She knew that the rat spirit was powerful and the Wang family's influence was overwhelming, and she didn't want everyone to get into danger and trouble because of her. Seeing this, Huang Tianqi was furious in his heart.
Grateful for his benefactor's miserable experience, he immediately turned into a wisp of yellow smoke and rushed out of the house, determined to kill the evil Immortal and eliminate the evildoers at all costs.
Seeing this, Mr. Yu didn't dare delay and handed his exclusive magic weapon, the King Wu Whip, to Chen Qijin.
This whip could subdue all evil spirits in the world and was the only weapon against the rat spirit. Everyone immediately set off for the company. By now night had fallen, and all employees had left work. When everyone arrived at the scene, they happened to see Wang Junjie lying unconscious on the ground, and Huang Tianqi was fiercely confronting the rat spirit possessing Du Shusho.
Already injured and at a disadvantage, the rat spirit separated from Du Shushu's body, revealing part of its true form's evil aura, arrogant and rampant. It publicly mocked Lord Dragon Mang Tianlong for being all talk and no action, cowardly and weak, exposing Lord Dragon's past shortcomings of repeatedly losing battles and retreating when things got tough, hitting every sore spot.
Humiliated in public, Lord Dragon flew into a rage and immediately joined forces with Huang Tianqi to attack head-on. Even with the two immortals working together, they still struggled to suppress the 100-year-old rat spirit that had devoured countless unjust souls. Seeing this, Mr. Bikum,
Yu immediately chanted divine tunes to summon the Qingyi civil immortal and Huang Guizui to help, turning the battle into 4 against 1. Even with the numerical advantage, everyone was still retreating step by step. The only thing the rat spirit feared was the King Wu whip made of thunderstruck wood, and it deliberately dodged it throughout the battle, leading to a stalemate.
Mr. Yu took the initiative to attack with the King Wu whip, accurately hitting the rat spirit's body. The intense restraining force exploded, completely shaking it out of Du Shushu's body. The rat spirit separated from its host, revealed its ugly true form. Chen Qijin seized the flaw, raised the King Wu whip high and struck down hard.
Although slightly off target and not hitting the vital point, it still seriously injured the rat spirit, making it squeal in pain and its spiritual energy collapse. Seeing that the situation was hopeless, the rat spirit turned into a wisp of gray smoke and fled in panic. The battle was temporarily suspended, but before everyone could rest, the crisis struck again.
Du Shushu had taken advantage of the chaos of the battle to quietly call the police, reversing black and white and making a false accusation first, claiming that everyone had attacked with weapons and deliberately retaliated. The police arrived quickly and, seeing the unconscious Wang Junjie at a glance, immediately concluded that everyone had committed assault.
The leading police officer was Wang Junjie's childhood friend, with deep selfishness and deliberate partiality. Ignoring the on-site doubts and surveillance evidence, he insisted on detaining Chen Qijin and Mr. Yu for 15 days. Faced with the police abusing their power and reversing black and white, Chen Qijin knew that arguing was useless and there was no way to appeal. The other side relied on their family connections to act recklessly. A small grassroots police officer dared to openly bend the law for personal gain, which was enough to see how deeply rooted and all-powerful the Wang family was in the local area. In the desperate situation, Chen Qijin clenched his phone, determined to tear through this dark curtain.
Chapter 13. I am a man of 7 feet. In the interrogation room, the young police officer had a contemptuous look on his face, convinced that Chen Qijin had no power or influence and couldn't compete with the Wang family. He mocked him wantonly for putting on airs and wasting his energy. In his eyes, Wang Junjie was the sky here.
And anyone who opposed him would only bring about their own destruction in the end. Faced with the other party's deliberate difficulties and bending the law for personal gain, Chen Qijin calmly dialed his aunt's phone.
His aunt worked in the provincial department and held a high position. Upon hearing that her relative had encountered injustice and met evil police officers abusing their power, she immediately stated that she would thoroughly investigate the matter and strictly punish the illegal law enforcement. After one phone call, the senior management of the branch immediately exerted pressure.
The arrogant police officer instantly turned pale and panicked, reluctantly and helplessly gritting his teeth and releasing them. Chen Shijin and Mr. Yu were released without charge. Walking out of the police station, both of them felt extremely heavy. The Wang family's power had been entrenched in the local area for many years, with official business collusion and deep roots.
With the power of ordinary people alone, it was impossible to shake them in the slightest. Even if they eliminated the rat spirit evil Immortal, as long as the Wang family's connections and influence remained, they could still invite other evil spirits and continue to do evil, and the unjust case would never be completely redressed. Mr. P.
Yu had the thought of retreating, persuading Chen Qinshin to withdraw and protect himself, saying that he would bear the remaining grievances alone and didn't want him to get involved and bring misfortune to his family. But Chen Qinshin flatly refused, his eyes firm and his expression awe-inspiring. "I am a man of 7 feet, and I will never bow to evil forces."
A sonorous oath completely broke the oppressive atmosphere. He was already deeply involved in the chess game and bound to the grievances, and even more couldn't bear to watch kind people suffer eternal injustice while evildoers went unpunished. No matter how dangerous the road ahead, he would fight to the death to uphold justice.
Lord Dragon and Huang Tianxi appeared and cheered, completely changing their view of this new Chuma disciple and full of approval. The two who had disappeared before the battle, making excuses to look for food, were extremely embarrassed, but also silently strengthened their determination to help their disciple and bring down the evil forces.
In the desperate situation, a flash of inspiration suddenly came to Chen Shijin, and he came up with a plan to break the situation. The Wang family's power was overwhelming and could suppress the government, but it couldn't suppress public opinion in the hearts of the people. As long as they used media exposure and peer pressure to make the black up
Material of Tianmei physical examination, a big issue, and attract social attention, they could force the official to conduct a thorough investigation and break the local protection barrier. The only shortcoming was the lack of empirical evidence to directly expose Wang Junjie's crimes of murder and manslaughter.
Just as everyone was at a loss, the usually reckless Li Ning suddenly had a brainwave and proposed starting with industry black materials such as company qualifications, equipment fraud, and unlicensed medical practice, using competitors' hands to trigger a public opinion crisis. This plan instantly woke everyone up, perfectly avoiding the shortcoming of insufficient evidence.
Using commercial scandals as a breakthrough point to tear off Tianmei physical examination's fig leaf, layer by layer, and dig deep into the evil behind it. A plan to use a knife to eliminate traitors and break the situation through public opinion was officially finalized. Chapter 14. Borrowing a knife, Chen Shujin carefully sorted out the industry's internal situation.
As a local leading enterprise, Tianmei Physical Examination had long monopolized the high-end physical examination market and competed fiercely with major public hospital physical examination centers, with Hedong Hospital having the deepest contradictions and most intense competition with it.
Hedong Hospital had better equipment, professional doctors, and a good reputation, and had been maliciously suppressed by Tianmei Physical Examination for years, accumulating a lot of resentment. If they leaked the black materials of Tianmei using shoddy equipment, doctors practicing without licenses, and falsified physical examination reports,
the other party would definitely seize the opportunity to go all out to suppress and seize the market. Huang Tianqi and Lord Dragon watched the human calculations and couldn't help sighing that the human heart was cunning and step by step, far more sinister and dangerous than monster battles.
Although the two immortals had profound cultivation and were decisive in killing, they didn't understand secular public opinion games and could only leave the layout and operation entirely to the three. Mr. Yu pointed out the key hidden danger. After the last defeat, the rat spirit had become alert and hidden murderous intent. The next time they fought, it would definitely counterattack with all its strength and fight to the death. Moreover, Lord Dragon had been seriously injured in his early years, and his cultivation had not fully recovered. Although he looked imposing, his combat power was unstable, and he was not good at protracted battles, so he couldn't forcibly call for reinforcements. The situation was still dangerous. To completely turn the tables, they must proceed in parallel with public opinion and eliminating evil spirits. To help the immortals recover their combat power and improve their chances of winning, Chen Qijin prepared roast chicken and fresh fruits that night, sincerely enshrining the Hall Immortals, abiding by the duties of a Chuma disciple, and comforting Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi. The two immortals hadn't enjoyed such sincere offerings for a long time, sweeping away the exhaustion from the continuous battles and overjoyed. Lord Dragon monopolized the roast chicken full of satisfaction, and although Huang Tianqi was slightly dissatisfied, he also rested peacefully and accumulated spiritual energy, waiting for the decisive battle moment. Late at night, Liu Zhaojiao's soul floated out of the mirror, bringing a subversive surprise. She had already noticed the Wang family's evil deeds and the company's black materials before her death, and had secretly copied and saved all the evidence of Wang Junjie's coercion and inducement. Murder and manslaughter, family tax evasion and bribery, hiding them in a secret USB drive. With this ironclad evidence, as long as the public opinion campaign was successful and the heat exploded, they could completely crush the Wang family in one fell swoop, making all evildoers get what they deserved and have no room to argue.
Everyone was overjoyed. The boulder weighing on their hearts finally fell, and the overall situation of turning the tables was set. Everyone agreed on the deployment. Early the next morning, Li Ning would contact the sales departments of major hospitals, and Chen Qijin would anonymously expose the company's black materials, using competitors' hands to trigger public opinion.
At the same time, they would fully accumulate strength, find an opportunity to completely kill the rat spirit evil immortal, clear the last obstacle, proceed in parallel, and completely end this grievance. Chapter 15. The knife is sharpened. Early the next morning, just as the sky was dawning, Li Ning got up early to buy roast chicken and fresh fruits.
Carefully enshrining the two immortals, and also brought back breakfast. He was brimming with energy and initiative, completely changing his usual lazy and reckless appearance, impressing everyone. After a night's rest, Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi's spiritual power had fully recovered, their breath steady and their power restrained, reaching their peak state.
Chen Qijin turned on his phone on time and, according to the plan, used public enterprise information to call the official numbers of the physical examination centers of major tertiary hospitals, anonymously exposing the industry black materials of Tianmei physical examination.
He deliberately concealed his identity, and from a consumer's perspective, exposed many chaos of Tianmei physical examination, such as fake equipment models, using shoddy products, incomplete doctor qualifications, large deviations in physical examination reports, and deliberately exaggerating illnesses for profit.
The customer service and sales departments of major hospitals were instantly energized upon hearing this. With fierce industry competition, Tianmei Physical Examination's black materials were an excellent opportunity for them to seize the market and get promoted and meritorious.
Especially Hedong Hospital immediately stated that it would arrange professional personnel to conduct on-the-spot unannounced visits and collect evidence for exposure as customers. Li Ning simultaneously contacted the sales of multiple hospitals, quickly opened up connections, and finalized the plan for joint unannounced visits and centralized exposure the next day.
He learned from his peers that there had been Chuma disciples who tried to go undercover to collect evidence before, but their immortal aura had been instantly locked by the rat spirit in the building, and they had been exposed on the spot, which was enough to show the rat spirit's deterrent power.
The public opinion groundwork was already in place. The knife was sharpened, and only the final step of killing the evil spirits and clearing the obstacles remained. As long as the rat spirit was eliminated and the building's seal was broken, all the dark curtains and evidence could be smoothly exposed, and the Wang family's heinous crimes would be made public.
Everyone sat around to discuss the final battle deployment, deciding to take the initiative to attack that day, confront the rat spirit head-on, and completely eradicate the evil spirit hidden danger. Days of depression, forbearance, and games had finally reached the moment of the ultimate showdown, and everyone was high-spirited and full of confidence.
Huang Tianxi, who had rested well, finally showed the true heritage of the Huang family's Tian generation immortals. With surging spiritual power and full aura, his whole body exuding awe-inspiring murderous aura, no longer the passive defensive appearance he had been before. Everyone finally understood why he could rank among the top among his peers in the Huang family and have a great reputation.
Everything was ready. The public opinion campaign was poised to go, and the ultimate battle was about to break out. The rat spirit that had been entrenched in the building for many years, the evil Wang family forces, and the corrupt umbrellas who bent the law for personal gain were about to meet their end. The dawn of justice had finally penetrated the layers of darkness and slowly descended.
Chapter 16. Li Ning goes crazy. On the eve of the decisive battle, both of their phones popped up a company group notification at the same time. Du Shusho had officially fired Chen Qijin and Li Ning on multiple trumped-up charges such as unqualified performance, unexcused absences, and disobeying management.
Quickly clearing their workstations and kicking them out of the team, your methods were ruthless and left no room for maneuver. The resentment that had accumulated for days completely exploded. The usually timid and cowardly Li Ning completely lost control and publicly lashed out at Du Shusho in the group, every word sonorous and every sentence true, exposing her various evil deeds of monopolizing resources, exploiting employees, currying favor with leaders, and workplace bullying, tearing off her hypocritical mask. A hearty and incisive tirade left the group in dead silence. Du Shushu, ashamed and angry, quickly kicked Li Ning out of the group chat.
Chen Qijin followed closely behind, leaving a message applying for labor arbitration to fight to the end, and was also kicked out of the group immediately. The two had completely torn their faces with the company and had no way back. Since they had already resigned, the two simply stopped holding back and immediately decided to go to the company
to handle their resignation and retrieve their personal belongings, taking the opportunity to confront the rat spirit and Du Shushu head on and completely settle all grievances. Mr. Yu, Lord Dragon, and Huang Tianqi accompanied them all the way, and the ultimate decisive battle officially began. As soon as the two stepped into the company lobby, the security guards were ordered to stop them. Learning that they had been fired, the security guards were arrogant and domineering, making things difficult in every way, and forbidding them to go upstairs to get their things or go through the formalities. The security guards' snobbish and rude behavior completely ignited Li Ning's anger. He completely let himself go, shouting and confronting them publicly, loudly accusing them, attracting the attention of all the customers in the lobby. The security guards, ashamed and angry, pushed and shoved him. Li Ning took the opportunity to fall to the ground and make a scene, shouting that the security guards had beaten people and the company was bullying others, instantly attracting all passers-by to watch and film. The on-site public opinion instantly fermented. Customers questioned the company's chaotic management and bad style one after another, and many people gave up their physical examinations and asked for refunds on the spot. The general manager of a cooperative enterprise witnessed the border
chaos and immediately announced the cancellation of the annual physical examination cooperation, directly hitting the revenue foundation of Tianmei Physical Examination. Du Shushu rushed downstairs upon hearing the news, trying to appease the customers and save the situation. But Li Ning had a loud voice, and every word was true. No matter how smooth-tongued and eloquent she was, she couldn't reverse the public opinion decline. In desperation, Du Shushu called the police again, planning to use police force to forcibly suppress it. What a coincidence. The police officer who responded was still Wang Junji's childhood friend.
As soon as he arrived, he deliberately favored Du Shushu and planned to forcibly take the two away for questioning to suppress their momentum. Chen Qijin no longer passively defended himself and publicly stated the cause and effect, workplace bullying, and the hidden injustice case, occupying the moral high ground. The onlookers filmed videos and discussed, heatedly, the police, under public opinion pressure, couldn't forcibly convict them and could only take Du Shushu, Chen Qijin, and Li Ning back for questioning together. Seeing this, a sinister look flashed in Du Shushu's eyes, and she had already made up a vicious plan in her heart. She intended to take the two to the Wang family's territory and completely silence them forever.
Chapter 17. I'll have Lord Huang beat your pants off. The police car did not drive to the branch, but went straight to Shohai Auto Parts City, the private property of Wang Junji's father, located in a remote and unsupervised area, a place the Wang family often used for private punishment. Du Shushu intended to take personal revenge and completely solve the two here, erasing all hidden dangers.
Arriving at the desolate and uninhabited garbage dump, the police officer deliberately avoided the scene and left the three alone. The surroundings were barren and howling with cold wind, completely becoming Du Shushu's private killing field. She no longer pretended, her face full of malice,
mocking the two for overestimating their capabilities and trying to shake the Wang family's foundation like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. A base salary of 2,002, only 1,008 left after deductions. Who cares about such a lousy job? Li Ning showed no fear and publicly retorted, completely tearing his face.
Du Shushu was hit where it hurt and flew into a rage. Her figure suddenly rushed forward, her bony palm locking straight onto Chen Qijin's neck, and the rat spirit phantom behind her appeared simultaneously, its fangs bared.
At the critical moment, Huang Tianqi instantly possessed Chen Qijin, holding the King Wu whip and striking fiercely.
Du Shushu fell heavily to the ground, but the rat spirit had profound cultivation and was not forcibly separated from the host, extremely resilient and still difficult to deal with. Seeing that the situation was bad, Du Shushu turned and fled. Li Ning's fighting spirit soared, and he chased closely, shouting loudly that he would have Lord Huang beat her arrogance,
his arrogant shouts echoing through the open space. Just as he was about to catch up, Du Shushu suddenly turned around and grabbed Li Ning by the neck, lifting him up fiercely, her killing intent awe-inspiring. At the moment of suffocation, Huang Tianqi forcefully transferred his possession to Li Ning, instantly breaking free from the restraint and counterattacking to subdue the enemy.
The King Wu whip accurately hit Du Shushu's body, simultaneously striking the rat spirit phantom. Ear-piercing squeals of pain rang out, and the rat spirit was injured and finally forced to separate from the host's body. The freed rat spirit was completely enraged and no longer held back. Rolling black smoke erupted all around it, and countless unjust soul phantoms emerged from the black gas.
The shrill cries and roars intertwined, forming a terrifying array of 100 ghosts devouring hearts. Countless incomplete and ferocious unjust souls rushed forward, faceless female ghosts, armless male souls, and dead infant spirits. All innocent people who had had their souls devoured and been killed by the rat spirit.
The black gas covered the sky and the sun, and the murderous aura was overwhelming, trying to completely devour everyone's souls. Lord Dragon rushed to the rescue, the giant dragon phantom soaring into the sky, its dragon tail sweeping in all directions, dispersing layers of unjust soul black gas. But the 100 ghosts were endless and regenerative, dispersed, and then gathered. Infinite.
The rat spirit, nourishing itself with the power of unjust souls, stood in the center of the black gas, laughing arrogantly and wantonly crushing everyone. Everyone suffered physically and mentally, their heads splitting with pain and their blood boiling. Li Ning had blood at the corner of his mouth and was on the verge of his limit. Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi struggled to resist, but their spiritual power was continuously consumed by the endless unjust souls, and they retreated step by step. The battle had completely fallen into a deadlock, and a life-and-death fierce battle had reached its most dangerous moment.
Chapter 18. 10 Paths of Immortals. The 100 Ghosts array was endless, the unjust souls circulating and never exhausted. Lord Dragon and Huang Tianqi's spiritual power was rapidly consumed, and they were covered in wounds, unable to completely eliminate the black gas. Seeing this, Mr. One Hind Tell.
Yu's expression was grave, and he made a desperate decision to use the forbidden technique. 10 orders to summon soldiers. This was the most dangerous forbidden technique for Chuma disciples. Using one's own immortal bone vitality as a guide and overdrawing the hall's foundation, it summoned 10 paths of immortals to come and help from afar.
Once cast, the caster would either suffer a sharp drop in cultivation and severe vitality damage, or cut off their immortal path completely and be tainted with endless karma. Chuijin, steady your mind. Close your 7 orifices tightly. No matter what illusions you see, or what severe pain you endure, you must not relax.
Yu shouted in a deep voice, forming a seal with one hand and quickly shaking the king wind drum with the other. The thumping drum beats were desolate and heavy, piercing through the sky full of evil aura and echoing throughout the desolate wilderness. Different from the usual soothing and disaster-relieving tunes, the drum beats at this moment were rapid and fierce.
carrying the supreme majesty of breaking evil and killing demons sit, was the long-lost summoning soldier's talisman. I invite the 5 Earth Immortals, Hu, Huang, Bai, Lia, Hui, and the 5 Heaven Immortals, Wind, Rain, Thunder, Lightning, Cloud, all 10 directions of the spiritual world, come to this battle. Mr. Boke.
Yu's voice was like a bell, the incantation recited, every word resounding, and the void trembled continuously. Chen Qijin instantly felt his whole body burning hot, his immortal bones in unbearable pain, and all the pores on his body opening wide. Endless heaven and earth spiritual energy poured into his body, accompanied by severe tearing sensations, as if his soul was being split apart to channel immortal power. He gritted his teeth and stood firm, refusing to back down even an inch. The first to respond were the Hu family immortals. A red flame tore through the night sky. The Hu family leader, wearing a red robe with eyes like sparks, arriving through the air with dozens of Hu family soldiers.
The flame immortal power swept the entire field, and wherever it passed, the lingering black gas instantly melted most of it, and the unjust soul phantoms scattered in wails when they met the fire. Immediately following, the Bai family immortal mist curled up, the snow-white Bai family elder stepping through the mist, the warm immortal light covering all directions,
calming everyone's restless chi and blood and stabilizing their souls. The minds disturbed by the 100 ghosts instantly settled down. The Liu family immortals appeared like winding shadows, green scales flipping and murderous aura cold, chains breaking through the air, instantly binding dozens of wandering unjust souls.
The Hui family immortals appeared together. Although of the same clan as the rebellious rat spirit, they upheld the right path of cultivation, angrily denouncing their fellow clan's evil immortal for corrupting the clan rules and harming living beings. A group of Hui family righteous immortal soldiers formed an array to seal the field,
cutting off the rat spirit's black gas veins that absorbed unjust souls, completely cutting off its source of power. The 5 Earth Immortals gathered, surrounding and locking the ground evil aura. Then, the 9 heavens shook, wind and thunder surged. The phantoms of the Thunder God and Lightning Mother manifested, rolling thunder accumulating in the clouds, purple lightning crisscrossing the long sky. The wind, rain, and cloud immortals pressed the formation, the mighty heavenly might pouring down, suppressing all yin, evil, and filth. 10 paths of immortals, all in place. Heaven and earth immortal light intertwined into a net, covering the entire garbage dump. The rare immortal array in 100 years crushed the sky full of black gas continuously back, and the arrogant and rampant rat spirit finally showed fear, trembling, and retreating. It had cultivated for 100 years and never seen such a formation. A mere mortal Chuma disciple could actually summon 10 directions of immortals to help. It had already panicked, but still refused to give up, gritting its teeth and activating all remaining unjust souls to fight to the death, trying to take everyone down with it. Evil spirits causing chaos, harming living beings, disturbing the human world today, you must be executed. Mr. Yu's handprint froze and he shouted sharply.
Lord Dragon's spiritual power was fully activated. His true dragon body spanning the long sky, the dragon roar shaking the mountains and fields, and the thunderbolt struck down along with it, slamming into the center of the black gas. Huang Tianqi charged forward with the Huang family immortal soldiers, the Huang family's evil aura, specifically suppressing yin evil.
Layer upon layer crushing the rat spirit's true body. The 10 paths of immortal arts erupted simultaneously. Firelight, thunder, wind blades, and immortal silk intertwined to form a killing array. The endless, unjust souls were instantly purified and dissipated into little bits of spiritual energy between heaven and earth.
The evil rat spirit, who had done many evils, was completely exposed under the immortal might, with nowhere to hide. Chapter 19. The evil spirit's execution. In the desperate situation, the cornered rat spirit completely tore off its disguise and gave up all thoughts of survival. The sky full of yin evil black gas frantically gathered, condensing into a giant rat demon true form several jang tall.
Its whole body was covered in fur, stained with old unjust blood. Its fangs dripping corrosive black water, and its scarlet blood pupils full of killing intent. This evil immortal, who had cultivated for 100 years by devouring souls, seeing that the 10 paths of immortals array had locked the entire field, and knowing it was doomed,
actually planned to detonate its lifelong cultivation and the thousands of unjust soul auras around it to drag everyone present to die with it. Heterodox filth, devouring souls to practice evil, today you shall suffer heavenly punishment. Huang Tianqi stepped through the air, a sharp shout dispersing the surrounding turbid air.
He completely unsealed his 100 years of cultivation, his whole body glowing with golden, immortal evil aura that soared into the sky. The Huang family's exclusive power to suppress yin evil, pressed down layer upon layer, accurately locking all the meridians around the rat spirit's body, directly sealing its self-detonation opportunity and cutting off its last crazy escape route.
The 10 paths of immortals array operated at full power, the killing heavenly might covering the entire desolate field, leaving not a single dead angle. The Hu family immortal fire spread like a prairie fire, burning scattered remnant souls and preventing the regeneration of evil aura.
The Bai family's warm immortal light fell, calming everyone's chaotic souls and stabilizing the foundation of the battle. The Liu family chains crisscrossed, weaving a heavenly net that sealed all escape routes. The righteous Hui family immortal soldiers formed an array to exert force, the same clan tracing power directly hitting the rat spirit's origin.
Layer upon layer disintegrating the evil power foundation it had cultivated for 100 years. Above the 9 heavens, wind and thunder exploded, rolling dark clouds churning endlessly. The thunder god and lightning mother activated heavenly punishment. Several purple gold thunderbolts carrying sharp lightning accurately smashing down on the rat demon's true form.
Deafening explosions rang out one after another. The hard demon body instantly charred and carbonized, and stinking black smoke filled the sky. The rat demon let out a shrill wail, its huge body trembling violently, and the 100 years of accumulated yin evil rapidly dissipated under the mighty heavenly might.
Lord Dragon's true body spanned the long sky, obscuring the stars and moon, and his powerful dragon roar shook the 4 directions, directly hitting the rat demon's soul. The extreme dragon pressure pressed down layer upon layer, making its soul turbulent and on the verge of collapse.
The rat demon struggled desperately, mobilizing the remaining evil aura to set off a demon wind counterattack, gravel and dead branches sweeping across the sky. But, in the face of the absolute combat power of the 10 directions immortal array, all resistance was in vain, and the demon power was continuously stripped, purified, and annihilated.
Chen Shijin held the thunderstruck wood King Wu whip, borrowing the vast immortal power blessed by the 10 orders to summon soldiers. His mind clear and standing firm in the center of the array,
At this moment, he could clearly see the thousands of unjust soul resentments accumulated in the rat spirit's body, and see through its deeply rooted sinful karma.
Seizing the fatal moment when the rat demon was severely injured by the thunderbolt and its flaws were fully exposed, he leaped into the air, pouring all his strength, immortal bone vitality, and the entire hall's immortal power into the whip body. Heinous sins, immortal law does not tolerate, execute the evil.
A sonorous shout cut through the night sky, and the golden King Wu whip, carrying the mighty heavenly power, smashed down fiercely on the rat demon's head vital point. A thunderous explosion rang out, the golden immortal power penetrating the thick evil aura and hard demon body. The rat demon's huge true form suddenly froze.
The ferocious light in its blood pupils instantly extinguished, and the black gas around its body receded and melted like a tide. With the last faint whimper, the rat demon's body collapsed with a crash, and the remaining demon soul fragments were completely burned to ashes by the sky full of immortal fire. Not a single trace left.
The rat spirit evil Immortal, who had been entrenched in the Tianmei building for several years, raising yin evil, imprisoning souls and protecting the Wang family's evil deeds, had completely fallen and been executed. The moment the evil spirit was destroyed, the yin evil barrier that had shrouded this place for several years shattered with a crash.
The piercing cold completely dissipated, and the oppressive night sky returned to clarity. The 10 paths of Immortal's immortal light slowly faded, and the phantoms of various immortal soldiers gradually dissipated, all returning to the spiritual world. The battle was over, and everyone was exhausted and weak. Mr. Moom.
Yu's face was pale and his breath was weak from forcibly casting the forbidden technique, the backlash from the forbidden technique sweeping through his whole body. Lord Dragon and Wang Tianxi had consumed more than half of their spiritual power, their figures slightly swaying, but still upright and awe-inspiring.
Li Ning sat paralyzed on the ground, the blood at the corner of his mouth not yet dry, but unable to hide his ecstasy. The biggest hidden danger that had weighed on everyone's hearts for years had finally been eradicated. In the void, a soft red phantom slowly appeared. The formation that had imprisoned Liu Zhaojiao for several years had completely shattered with the rat spirit's death.
The overwhelming resentment that had wrapped around her had all dissipated, her eyebrows gentle and relieved, no longer a trace of the fierce ghost's hostility. Freed from the dark shackles, she was finally able to be free and unrestrained. Liu Zhaojiao gently bowed deeply to everyone, grateful that they had cleared the fog and redressed her injustice.
Looking at his benefactor's relieved appearance, Huang Tianqi's years of obsession with repaying kindness had finally come to fruition. The hostility in his eyes completely faded. He said in a deep voice, "The yin evil has been eliminated. The barrier has been broken. The remaining human evil should now be brought to justice in the mortal world."
The night was quiet, and the first light of dawn was breaking. The immortal evil had completely dissipated. The Wang family's evil forces, which had been protected by evil spirits and colluded with officials to do evil for many years, no longer had any support. A long overdue mortal justice trial was already close at hand.